What's up guys, FlexEdge, and today I'm going to be showing you how to make this. This is going to be part 4 of my CyberPunk's asset modeling tutorial, and we're going to make buildings. So let's get started. And I just want to say, I was going to make this sooner, but I've been sick all week, and I didn't want to be coughing and stuff on the video, so sorry about that. But here we go. So we're going to grab a cube, change our shading lines on. Then we're going to make this a bit taller. I'm going to drag it up, get it above the grid here. Make 2 surfaces there, 2 there, and 2 there. So now let's hit C on our keyboard to make this cube editable. We're going to go into our polygon selection tool. I'm going to select both sides of this. Right click, extrude it out, go to your edge selection tool, select all the top edges on each side that we just made, and if you see there, this is happening because it's not optimized. So now I'm going to hit Control A to select everything and hit optimize. Now I'm going to reselect those edges and drag these down. Now I'm going to hit K and L, and I'm going to, which is our loop cut tool. I'm gonna make a loop here and make a loop here. I'm also just gonna go ahead and make one. Hit UL. No, still not what we want. I'm just going to select these 4 polygons, just these 2. I'm going to hit KL, sure restrict to selection is set, and I'm going to make a cut here. There we go. So when you're making these buildings, you want to kind of be random, but I mean, not too random. You want them all to look different so your city isn't all the same building over and over. Or if you just want one specific building, use references, go on Google, search for sci-fi buildings or a building that you want to make this after. It'll kind of help you with the process. So we're going to go ahead and work on this side. I'm going to select all of this. I'm going to extrude it outward. And on this top part, I'm going to subdivide this. So I'm going to subdivide this a few times, get a bunch of cubes going. And normally I would melt these together. I'm going to go ahead and do that too. So I'm going to grab my tool that I can drag and select, live selection. I'm going to select these, right click, melt, right here, right click, melt, right click, melt. And we're just going to do these where all these tries are. Make the topology look a little nicer. It doesn't really matter, but I just prefer to do it. Helps keep me a little more organized. Sorry guys for sniffling, I'm still kind of sick. Okay, so now I'm going to select all of these windows we just made. Hold shift, dragging. Okay. Now you're going to right click, extrude inner, uncheck preserve groups. I'm going to save this real quick. Okay, right click, extrude inner, make sure preserve groups are unchecked, and drag this in a little bit. I'm going to right click, extrude this in just a little bit, And then extrude inner again, make a little lip, and do this one more time. Now I'm going to make the window texture. Shader, Octane material, double click. I'm going to save again because my computer's acting kind of weird. I'm going to make this a metallic material. I'm going to go into my node editor and I'm going to get a roughness, an image texture, drag it to roughness. Then I'm going to grab my dirt and we're going to power it by dirt. If you haven't used this node before, there's a lot of tutorials on it, but I will show you what I'm doing to texture it. And sorry, this window drives me nuts. I don't want it to take over my whole screen, but so I'm going to find a roughness map that I like. Where did I put it? Now I'm going to click my dirt map. And as you can see, it just looks like a normal roughness map. I'm going to change the specular real quick to a goldish color. And I'm going to drag it on these windows. Live viewer. Okay. I'm going to get a sun in here so I can kind of see this better. So objects, daylight, there we go. Now we can really see what's going on. So I'm going to change this to cubic. So click your texture, come down to projection, change it to cubic. Sorry, I usually use both monitors, but to show you what's going on. Okay, so this is all screwed up. So right now it's not really doing a lot. Let's invert this. I'm going to turn the strength all the way up. So we kind of just want this dirt. To not be on all of the windows, but some of them. So we don't want it to be perfectly reflected. And let's turn the radius down. Oh, there's a detail. So just kind of play with these values so you get what you want. Let's see how it's affecting this side. Yeah, I like that. So that works for me. Now, when you see these buildings in kind of sci-fi worlds or whatever it may be, the windows aren't always the same color. I'm going to make this smaller and move it out of the way. Close this. So I want some of my windows to be a different color. So I'm going to hold Control and drag this out. Go in, change the specular to like a blue. And another one to like a red. I'm going to make sure that I'm not still selecting all these polygons. I'm just going to go in here and put these on random windows. Oops. I'm just going to hold shift and click. Hold shift, select random windows. Okay, now I'm going to do the same with the red. So now we've got several different color windows. They're all kind of using the same texture. But I have these, so I'm going to hold Control and make sure that they're all cubic as well. Oop, I didn't mean to close that. Change this to path tracing. Okay. So now we're going to focus on the top. So make sure you're in your polygon editing mode still. Shift and click those. Extrude them up. So we're just going to make channels here. So I'm going to just extrude it by, let's do 3. And then we're going to drag this up a little bit. Extrude it by 3 more. Oh, sorry. Extrude this up, click off. Reselect these. Extrude 3. There we go, now I've got 2 channels. Before I go any further, I'm going to go ahead and select this line and drag it out. Undo that, all of that. So grab this line, click here to switch to your normal axis mode. Bring this out a little bit, and then I'm going to select these. This side, bring this in. Now I'm going to make sure all this is selected and extrude it by 3 again. And then I'm going to extrude again up. And I'm going to grab this one and drag it up like so. Make it smaller like this. And once again, this is all your own taste. You can do this however you'd like. Okay. Now I'm going to just leave this like this. I'm going to grab my loop tool. So loop selection U and L together. Go in polygon mode. Select, extrude, inwards. That's going to create our channels for our lights. Now we'll go to this side. Actually, just select these 2. Oops. Extrude. Select the edges, drag them down. We're going to select all of this, inner extrude, bring them in and out a bit. Now this side, holding shift and clicking, extrude this inner, extrude, sorry, go back to inner, preserve groups. bring this in and extrude it back just a little. Extrude inner again and bring back again. And there we go. Creates a little indentation in here. So now hit K and L to create or to grab your loop tool, or just K twice, and this will grab your knife. And we're going to go into this mode where we're right in front of it. As you can tell, I'm on the right side because I can select those polygons. If I was on the wrong side, you'd go to camera and change the opposite, so right and left. And you can tell we're on the wrong side now because we're seeing all these lines. So I'm going to go back to the right side. Now, this is going to be hard to see after doing those windows, but hey, let me make sure. So I'm going to select this one and this one. And it is really hard to tell in this mode. So now, knife tool, KK, and restrict to selection. And I'm just going to grab this, hold shift and create a line from top to bottom, hit escape to get off of it. I'm going to do this across here several times. You can line this up however you want to make it even. And as long as you're holding shift, it won't let you drift from side to side. And these might not be perfect, but they're close. So now I want there. One, two, three, four, five. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. So now if we go back to our perspective view, we can select every other one. That one's a little bit thin, but we're going to extrude this out to nearly the edge. So now we have this kind of channel with vents in this building. And these little things that we're adding on the side, they just add a little bit more detail to the actual geometry before we start modifying or adding texture and using detail with a displacement map, which I'm going to show you here in a minute. So I'm going to grab these polygons, extrude them, grab my edge tool, okay. Now I'm going to go into my loop mode, hold shift, create new shader, Octane material. We're going to make them an emissive material, so black body emission, surface brightness. Go ahead and apply that to those, and we'll get a little bit of a light. Now if we turn on our post settings, make sure that this is checked. Add a bit of glow to it. Change my samples to like 1000. Okay. So now that we've got our basic building shape, I'm going to go back into my object selection. I'm going to make this whole thing just a bit taller. That way it doesn't look so skinny. Okay. So now we're going to start texturing this building. Let's add a plane like this, 10,000. Okay. So I'm going to create a new, actually first let's get our selection. So I'm going to hold control and select all these tags to get everything that I have textured. And I'm going to select polygons down here. So go into your polygon edit mode, that'll help. Select polygons, and you should have all of those polygons selected that have textures on them already. We're going to go to select and invert selection. So this way we can select everything that's not textured. So create new shader. We're going to make this building a dark gray and make it glossy. Really dark gray. Node editor, image texture. Use a roughness map again that you've used before. Go ahead and use normal map too. Actually, I'm not going to use the normal map. So let me apply this. So now our building's that color. Now this is where you have your extra detail come in. So we have this texture, which I'm going to show you right here. Now this is 8K, and it's used making a program called JS Placement, or JS, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, JS Placement. And these kind of textures are what we call nernies and greebles. Preferably, I like to call them greeble. Greebles are like added surface texture to kind of add more of a look, a more detailed look to the surface of an object without adding any extra geometry. And that's used with a height map, which is what this is. And when I say nernies, it's basically the same thing, but I like nernies to be considered the extra objects that you add to the surface. So like vents, AC units, pipes, anything, little objects like that that'll add details to the surface of your buildings or the ground or even spaceships or whatever you want to model. And I'm going to show you how to make nernies in a different video, but for this one, we'll just focus on this greeble. And you can download this program. I'll leave a link in the description. It's free. Or alternatively, you can download it. I'll have a few of these on my website if you don't want to mess with the program. But this is a great program, and it's really good to utilize for things like this. And I'll show you something else I've made with it. So something like this can be made the same way with these maps. So it looks like there's a bunch of added texture or a bunch of added detail that is just one simple texture. And that's the great thing about it. So these lines and stuff were made separately, but. All right, so this is open. I'm going to click here, go into classic, and this will generate different kind of maps and objects, and you can adjust everything. There's different versions. They all do different things and are different type of maps. But they're 8K. There's a lot of detail in these, and like I said, it's a great asset to have in your tool library. But we're going to use the one I've already created. So we're going to grab a displacement node, drag it in, and then grab another image texture. And I'm going to hold control and drag this up and bring it into my normal. So here I'm going to change this to 8K. I'm going to get my normal first, which is the normal I generated in JS Placement. And this is going to be my height. Now I'm going to apply it. Oop. Oh, it should already be applied. Okay, so as you can tell, my computer's being really slow. So I'm going to have to change this real quick. Oh no, I don't know what's happening. I'm going to change this to 4K because oh my gosh. We're going to turn this down. Everything's already split because this amount is too high. I might need to put this back in direct lighting for the time being. But I definitely need to change this to cubic. There we go. All right. So let me get a little bit closer. And let me make this daylight brighter so we can actually see. Oops. Okay, so if we zoom in, you can see that there's all this little detail on here now. Now that's a little bit too much for my liking, and there's probably a lot of separation in the polygons. So I'm going to bring this in a little bit. And bring my mid-level up so it kind of dials it back a little bit. Now, unless you're getting really up close to these buildings, it doesn't really matter if you have a bunch of separation here, which is what happens on edges with displacement. And I'm going to change this to Gaussian and click my radius as a 3. So you just gotta tune this until you get where you like. And I'm going to turn my normal up. So if I raise this, so I'm going to click on the texture that we created. I'm going to change this to like 200 to kind of make these features bigger. And you can just adjust this how you like it. There we go. That looks a lot better, in my opinion. Now this building doesn't look great right now. You can add different colors to it. So if I were to hold control and drag this material and change the diffuse to like a brownish color, maybe a little brighter than that. Make another one that's like a greenish color. Select things like this, make those one color, these another color, select random polygons, and kind of just change them colors. Now I gotta make sure all of these are like the last one. So control, select those ones you just changed, make it cubic, change it to, what did we make this? 200. Now we just have a bit more color in there. So they're a little too vibrant for me. And you can texture this however you want, but alright. So there you have it. It's kind of a sci-fi-ish looking building. It's not perfect. But like I said, when you use these in scenes like this one, you can really color correct it and it'll start to look a little more cohesive and better. And it all depends on the texture you're using too. So I'm going to go ahead and apply this, or control drag this, bring it on here. And now I'm going to double click that and go into my displacement and make this a lot taller. I'm also going to make it smaller. So like 50. Kind of gives that city look. And I actually think that these need to be diffuse, not glossy. My computer's running really slow, so I can't really do a lot more in this video. And if we change that last one that we put on the ground to 4K in the displacement, or sorry, 8K, it'll update and it should look a little better. And then add some lights into the scene. Drag it down into the displacement. Remove them. Kind of put them everywhere. Change their temperature. And make it nighttime. So yeah, there you have it. This is how you make buildings. And sorry, I'm a little bit out of it. And yeah, there you have it. This is kind of how you can make buildings. I know this one was really simple, but it's all about the detail and the added time you want to put into it. I didn't want to spend a lot of time on this because, as you can tell, the video is already 30 minutes long, and it's my computer's being slow. So there you have it. Thanks for watching.